we have breaking news that you should know about. We recorded this episode, and then Gibson Dunn, the law firm for Jordan Chiles, accidentally on purpose made their filing to the Swiss Federal Appeals Court on behalf of Jordan Chiles. So this is in addition to the filing that was already made to appeal Jordan Chiles' bronze medal case from the C.A.S decision. They made it public. It is public, accidentally on purpose, is my guess about that. And they have included evidence. So we are going to record another episode tomorrow, which would be Tuesday, September 17th, as early as possible, and tell you what is in the filing, what the evidence is. It is the definitive evidence, and break down for you what this means. Because in addition to the evidence that is in this filing, we know more about what happened with Simone and why she did not appeal her floor score. And I'm putting did not in quotes here. So look forward to that Tuesday. But until then, enjoy this episode. This month, Tumble Track is having a sale on all the following things: 10% off preschool equipment, 10% off Spieth equipment. Spieth beams were always my favorite. They were like the softest and spongiest. They hurt my feet the least. 5% off carpet bonded foam, because you know someone's been picking at the side or walked out on their heels and you always have to replace that. Visit TumbleTrack at TUMBLTRAK, tumbletrack.com. Train smart. This show is PG-13, so you will probably 100% hear a naughty word or two in this whole episode. Today, bronze clocks, 1982 babies, Amanars, camera angles. We're going to talk about it all. It's September 16th. Welcome to the number one gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica. I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. I went to the Simone Biles Goat Tour rehearsals, and I'm going to tell you all about it. We're going to do a special behind the scenes on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific. That's Wednesday the 18th, so I can answer all of your questions about it. I'm so excited. If you really want to know what's going on behind the scenes at the Goat Tour, follow Ian Gunther, the guy from Stanford who did the invisible gymnastics thing where like they dressed up in green suits and said that gymnastics isn't real. Did you watch that? It was so funny. Gymnastics isn't real. There's really someone standing under them in a green suit holding them up for everything. Even Laurent participated in it. Anyway, wow. Spencer, these are the things you miss by not doing any. I mean, I understand avoiding social media, but Instagram is one of the ones that's hilarious. So a couple Gymternet news items first to start with. Okay. Simone did flares on a mushroom.
That's your news. I don't know. I'm worried about this. This seems awfully men's gymnastics for this Goat Tour.
The most important thing I want to tell you about Simone's Goat Tour is that I was talking to a friend this week, and she was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go. It's like a couple hours drive to the city that's closest. And then she was like, but I haven't seen Simone in person. And I was like, you have not seen Simone, but this is a person who first thing put her children in gymnastics, loves gymnastics. Her upset, did adult gymnastics for years, is as obsessed as I am about gymnastics, has not seen Simone in person do gymnastics. The life-changing magic that is watching Simone do gymnastics in person. And she's out of her boot. She's all healed now. Plus, they just tumble on a tumble track or like an air floor there. So it's not going to be a problem. You have to go. This might be your last chance. You don't know. We all think, we'll have another chance. She'll be so pressured into LA that she'll show up just for 2 events or something. But that might not happen. Go see it. Not to mention, it's nothing like the old tours. It has a message that is positive. It's not just about awkward sexual tension. I'm not saying that the men aren't properly shirtless and there isn't a lasso. But what I'm telling you is, if you can see Simone and all these amazing gymnasts, especially Melanie is on the tour, come on. You have to go. Go do it. It's worth it. See the tour. You will not regret it. I'm telling you. And Simone we trust. And then I think when the tour's over, then she's going to come out with her endorsement, her presidential endorsement, right before Election Day. November 5th, everybody. Have you checked your presidentials? That's what it is. Have you checked your voting status? Just double check. Let us know. So, there was a Video Music Awards last night. Jordan Chiles wore the best outfit ever. Her stylist, she has like the stylist to the stars. They're what are they? Someone and Michael. They're everyone you've ever seen who's dressed well are her stylists. Like when I saw who they were, I was like, oh, no wonder her outfits are amazing. Anyway, it was like sporty, but it looked so good on her. But you could see her muscles, but also it was like sleek and like elegant. I freaking love that outfit. Anywho, she got the point of the story, Spencer, please, is that she got a bronze clock necklace from Flava Flav, which he made for her to replace her bronze medal, which is lovely.
But she also still has that bronze medal, right?
She still has her medal somewhere. And she got a hug from Taylor Swift. Very important. And she did a special spot during the show encouraging people to register to vote. So I love that she did that. So this is my reminder to you too, to check your voter registration. Make sure you have not been purged. And if you haven't registered yet, because the deadlines are coming up, like a bunch of the deadlines are in October, make sure you didn't get purged, number one. Make sure that you know when the deadline is. And we have a little tool on gymcastic.com side panel for voter registration, or you can also check your status just to be sure. It is my worst fear that I go to vote and they're like, you're not registered, which I don't think I have to worry about here, but you never know, you guys.
I don't think you have to worry about it.
Triple check wherever you are. Also, Boise State was added to the Pac-12. There's some other schools too, but they don't matter because they don't have
conference
gymnastics.
news. But not for a while. It's the 2026-2027 academic year. But the Pac-12 is like, maybe we're not dead, but maybe for a little bit. Because also 2 gymnastics programs is not enough. Because that is the point of conferences, is their gymnastics programs, and 2 is not enough to sustain a conference.
Right. Otherwise, why do you even exist if you don't have gymnastics? So we'll see what happens with that. Other things that we have to tell you about are that we have a bunch of mini commissions.
Let's go.
Coming up. All right. So these are people who are either our world champion level Club Gymnerd members that support us all year round, or they are, we have a few people that won because they participated in our fantasy league. And that's the other way that you can win one of these. We just give them away. So
like they're free, like they're nothing, like it's free.
Just give these away. So the first one is from world champion level Club Gymnerd member Casey, who says,
I'd love to hear you guys give some love to the 1982 generation, by which I mean the women's gymnasts born in 1982. I've always found this group to be fascinating and feel, on the whole, they're not remembered in the same way as other standouts of the 90s and thousands, maybe due to the relatively few chances that many had to compete in big championships. Starting with Alexandra Marinescu. After her, there were several gymnasts who were victims of the unusual circumstances of the 1997 to 2000 quad, the age change that kept them out of 97 Worlds, and then no Worlds in 1998, which meant many of them had 1999 Worlds and the Sydney Olympics. Yikes. So, if you want a mini commission as well, you could join Club Gymnerd at the world champion level at gymcastic.com. So, lots of 1982 gymnasts. Casey gave us a list.
A very long list. We were like, we could make an entire episode out of this list.
This is a full episode, but we'll do an overview because I agree. Fascinating group of gymnasts, interesting history, ups and downs, real roller coaster of a group. But we'll start with, as Casey mentions, Alexandra Marinescu of the Romanian team, 1996 Olympic team member. Very dramatic situation.
Also, because she kept being taken out of every all-around lineup in favor of a teammate, like over and over and over.
Yeah.
And also, like, I'm obsessed with her. So I just want to talk about some non-gymnastics things about her first.
Of course you do, yeah.
Now she's a gamer. She, like, loved video games from the time she was little. She's a DJ. She should have her own radio show. She travels, has a cat. And also Hero, one of the gymnasts who wrote a book, spoke out about everything from the beginning, Spencer.
Yeah, I mean, not many have, but you see the way she was talked about by the Romanian coaches, not an unusual situation, but you also see why that would provoke someone to be like, oh, they were really bad. Like when she was Rosa Galieva out of the all-around final in 1996, which is, so the Romanians had qualified Milosevic and Goji into the final, and Marinescu was the third qualifier, and Simona Amanar was out of the all-around final because she had fallen on beam in compulsories. obviously Simona Amanar was, a huge medal threat. If she had hit beam and compulsories, I think she would have qualified ahead of Podkopayeva into the all-around final. So makes a lot of sense that you would put her in. But of course, Octavian Bellew, instead of just being like, oh, we put in Simona Amanar because she's really, really good and she could win a medal, he had to be like, oh, Marinescu doesn't work hard enough. From the Karolyi Bellew school of, if you can't use an opportunity to belittle someone, then why even speak?
Right.
And so this is kind of the origin story of Marinescu in terms of speaking out about, the problems in the Romanian system. The other thing I want to say about her is back handspring layout, step out, back handspring layout, step out.
And speaking of that, this is exactly what I talked to you. If you're a visual listener, you can look at the Instagram post that we're going to show right now. In her 30s, she put up a X-ray of her back, and she quit because of back injuries. Her back looks like someone took it and crunched it in half. So the things that are supposed to be towards the back of you and your butt are actually in her stomach, and she had to have fusion, and it looks horrific. When she was like, things are really messed up, it was super abusive. I mean, just look at her back. The other thing is she was one of the last of the age falsification Romanians. They literally just went to her dad and was like, we have to give her a fake age. Yeah, because she has a new age and this is only her one chance to go to the Olympics, so this is how it's going to be. And I think the thing I love about her is effortless fluidity. And the other thing, she just had that from that era of gymnastics where everything flows together, which you rarely see now. And she avoided that whole terrible chicken chest spasm isolation thing that all the other Romanians, because she didn't train at Deva till the very end, but all the other team that did that weird spasm of their chest, their thorax, she didn't do it. And I was like, oh, somehow you had the wherewithal not to let that catch. It was like chickenpox. It would just get you, breathe it in, and suddenly before every move you're doing, but anywho, that's her. We love her. Zamolodchikova.
Oh, the best.
I
think about her twice a week.
Why do you think about her twice a week?
I don't know. I don't know why. There's just something about certain gymnasts and their careers and their general history that just is always there. Her Sydney Olympics is a fascinating roller coaster of a competition.
Yes.
Because you have the team final, the dramatic team final where Russia didn't win and it was a big deal, and there was a meltdown on beam, and she had that weird series where just that back handspring flail side turn fall. Then she goes to the all-around final. She's winning after she did bars and beam, and she hadn't even done vault and floor yet, which are her two best events. And then it wasn't even the vault that got her in the Sydney all-around final. It was floor. And so she's having this heartbreaking Olympics. And then she goes to event finals, gets placed into the vault final instead of Horkina, which is one of those weird stories because it doesn't fit the narrative of Horkina of being, an egomaniac. This idea that she removed herself from the vault final to allow Zamolodchikova in is wait, who is this? Who is this person? Who is this Svetlana Horkina we're hearing from now? I'm not sure. But anyway, Horkina was removed from the vault final. Zamolodchikova is put in. She wins gold in the vault final. With her, Souk double full named after her, wins gold in the floor final, 2 gold medals from the Sydney Olympics after this seemingly horrific start. It's a fascinating competition for her that, we don't talk about a lot because Sydney Olympics is just that vault. Remember what happened? It was a disaster.
I forgot that she has 11 world and Olympic medals. 11. That's a lot. Because mostly I just think about her robot floor routine when they were trying to get her to dance.
No, that's not happening.
Yeah, and I feel like she doesn't get a lot of, and that time that Horkina was laughing at her trying to do bars so hard. That was one of the best things. She was in one of those small World Cups that was in a, high school gym.
Yeah, that's a really weird setup.
And she just kept missing the same skull over and over. And Horkina just practically fell off her chair laughing at her. And which is all of us. Like, this happens in the gym. Like, you laugh and laugh and laugh at your teammates. But yeah, she had a massive career. And the thing I always think about her is during in 2007 when Kamarenko bailed on her vault, like she balked at the very last second and just touched the vault, which means you get a 0. And so Zamo, like, Horkina was about to murder Kamarenko.
Was Horkina there?
Yes. 2007?
I don't remember Horkina. I mean, like, she definitely wasn't competing. Was she there, like...
I feel like she was there. Wait, we should double check this.
I mean, she definitely was no longer competing in 2007.
I feel like I remember her wanting to... Maybe she was in the stands, or she was coaching, or she was doing
could have been, like, the FIG representative and
was
being really professional.
I just remember her just looking like, oh my God, I'm going to kill you. But then Zamo held it together and vaulted crying, even though that was it. Like, the team, it was over for them. They got a 0.
Yeah.
On vault. They weren't going to do it, but Zamo held it together and vaulted anyway. And I think this is the most important thing you learn from gymnastics is how to do your job even while you're crying and having an emotional breakdown. It is one of the most frequent things you see happening in a gym is someone doing a routine while crying. And it doesn't mean like necessarily that like the coaches are abusive or and they're in pain or whatever. It could just be like you're tired and done. You're having a time and you still have an assignment to get done. And that's one of the things you have to do in life. You still have to get your job done and pay the bills no matter what's going on. And so many crying and doing gymnastics together, things happen. Also, what's crazy about her is that she quit gymnastics briefly as a kid because she was diagnosed with a heart defect. But then another doctor was like, no, it's not a heart defect. So she went back to gymnastics. But then when she was 31, she had a heart attack. Remember that? She was like, I was just coaching in the gym and she was a judge and she did all this stuff. And then it stopped when she had her heart attack. But she's doing fine now, had a baby at 41. Horkina was thrilled for her. They're close, at least by social media standards. If you can tell from that, maybe she's just terrified of Horkina and is like, thank you, I love you. Please don't send me.
Thank you, Marta. Coach's national staff. Goodbye.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a minute.
We will. Casey gave us so many people, but let's, who do you want to talk about in this list? Because
I'll talk about Ling Jie from China because of gymnasts who have been victimized by the code of points. So Ling has an eponymous skill, which many Chinese gymnasts still perform. So we talk about it often, but it's complicated and kind of hard to identify, which is one of the reasons I think it just got mushed into other skills in the code of points. But it's one of the E pirouettes on one arm where you start in L grip and then you do a little like hop grip change to reverse to do your one arm pirouette to finish in handstand in L grip.
Which we got so excited about when Gabby Douglas came back because we're like, oh, it's a Ling! She's doing a Ling! That's how we reacted to it.
Super complicated skill, extremely difficult, but it's mushed in the code of points with the Ono, which I think people will mostly recognize for that's what Nastia did in her bars routine in 2008 with her big, that elegant arm swing flare that she would do. She was doing in Ono. Starting in L grip. They're both, E pirouettes, finish in handstand, starting in L grip. So they're the same in the code of points, but there's no name after it. So just, one of the unsung heroes who's been victimized by the code of points naming situation. So I do want to talk about Ling Jie.
Jamie Dantzscher, of course. I feel like we talk about Jamie Dantzscher all the time. Maybe it's just me. I think about Jamie Dantzscher as a person I think about once a week. Because I think the thing that Jamie Dantzscher has such a legacy of speaking out throughout her career and being one of the first people to speak out about how the team was treated under Bella Karolyi and what a disaster that was. But I think about just her power. Like, she's never described as a power gymnast, but her power was insane. Just watching her warm-ups, she would just do round up back handspring, fly in the air, hang out there, just do a wonky back tuck as a warm-up, but it was absolute art. Her power was nuts. The things that she could do effortlessly, the amount of height that she got. I think I'm Andrade level of height that she got on her tumbling, and I don't think she's known that way. But that is what I think of, just absolute raw talent and technique to the umpteenth degree.
A standout element on every event, like a wow element on every event. Even like bars, which you don't talk about her bars that much, like her that huge ginger, pike ginger that she had, where it's like, whoa, every event. Other 1982 American gymnasts, pop quiz. Can you name Elise Ray's 3 skills, eponymous skills on bars?
Oh, Jesus. Well, I can't
Toe on
think of it.
Tkachev, toe on.
Oh,
Stalled or shoot to
toe on
high
Scott.
bar, which
Stalder.
we used to see all the time connected out of a bail, but now no one does it because no one
Oh,
does
I
bail.
just hecked the Stalder heck to high bar.
Yeah.
Which is basically in the compulsory, like the old. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, there are both. I would say both that and the toe on Tkachev, like people did it before. And then the double layout dismount.
Oh, that's right.
Is the
Yes, the Morzov bars that she did. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know who posted themselves doing a Moors this week too?
Ooh.
Kayla DiCello. She's back at Florida, but apparently
She's
she had a
already
Moors.
ready to do that.
No.
It was old.
It was an old video from camp.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
She's still.
I'm worried if you're doing Moors right now.
No, but I was like, of course you had a Moors.
Yeah. Yeah, come back.
Ezhova. Oh, I was obsessed with Ezhova. 2003
One of
Worlds.
the gymnasts, I think, who's, sometimes people who have eponymous skills, it's like not great. You got it done, and people have done it way better before, and we'll talk about Amanar vaults later in the episode. But Ezhova stands up. Her bar skill, which is a swing backward, like it's a pack, basically half turn, and then you're doing a pack. Beautiful. Legs together, how it should be done, still stands up as the best or one of the best. Although it's interesting because Ezhova is one of those. What?
She was so good on beam. Beam is what I always think.
I was gonna say. I was like, she's one of those gymnasts who's talked about for an eponymous skill on an event that's not their best event, like Shaposhnikova. We always talk about Shaposh's on bars. It's like bars wasn't really her event. Beam, I have a complicated relationship with Ezhova's beam because it's kind of herky-jerky and there are some rhythm things and she's looking down at the beam a lot, but wild combinations.
Like anything that's sideways and transitions forward, sideways, she would connect it together. It was like you would think there were sort of impossible connections and she would do it. That's why I was obsessed with watching her. I watched all the podium trainings.
It's such a U beam. Her beam is so Jessica.
I sat right next to beam and was just like, that's not possible. There she goes. Oh my God. I was so blown away. Yeah.
Like straight jump 1.5 to back, full twisting back handspring to back dive half split combinations.
Yeah.
Like aerials to side summies, like all kinds of things.
Her gymnastics is so great. We're going to have to end it here.
All right. There are more 1982s, but it's a mini commission.
Yeah. So do you want to,
Do you want to talk about Maria Olaru and my complicated feelings about Maria Olaru's 1999 World Championships win on that white beam? Stay tuned for sometime when we don't have anything to talk about. We'll come back to it.
A couple of Gymnerd.
That white beam from 1999 Worlds.
The white beam. Also,
it's so triggering to me.
At least it was a different color from the floor and the ceiling. This is important. Some Club Gymnerd general GymCastic updates for you. So Simone Goat Tour went to rehearsals, watched it, have so much to tell you guys. And Wednesday at the 18th at 5 p.m. Pacific, we'll do a little live behind the scenes and I'll answer all your questions about it. And then Simone documentary is coming out on October 25th. That we have an interview up with the director, with Katie Walsh, that you can listen to now. We have our interview coming up with Nellie Kim, women's technical committee head, Soviet Olympic champion. She's had like 4 husbands. So much to talk about with her. We also have the horror movie mini commission, which I saw part of, and it's good. And it's like a short, so it's not a whole horror movie, thank God. But it's very smart. I'm really impressed with that. So lots of things coming up. A couple more mini commissions happening, which you can commission yourself if you want to at gymcastic.com at the Join the Club tab. And of course, we have College and Cocktails is coming this winter, which is very fun. We pick a meet, watch it together. There's a mocktail or cocktail, and we all chat about it afterwards and whatever's going on in the latest news. And then our very own fact checker has a book coming out with Simone Biles' first coach for 19 of her World and Olympic medals, Amy Borman. It's called The Balance. You can pre-order it now. Pre-order. It's very important for the rankings on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And many questions you have will be answered, including in that book, including some that our next mini commission is about. So let's discuss that.
Also, with a foreword by Simone Biles herself.
Oh, yeah, that's in there too.
Which, if you're interested, in things Simone has to say, which apparently people are.
Yeah. People like Simone. She has things to say too. She's very entertaining, you guys. Okay, next mini commission from World Champion Level Club Gymnerd Eric, who says,
I have always had an interest as to how intense the training camps were from 2001 to 2016. How did Marta act? How intense was the environment? I know this is an extremely sensitive topic. However, I always wondered what Marta's attitude was like. Oof, depends on which gymnast you were.
That's the thing. It really does depend on who you were. So I'm going to talk about my impressions from interviewing and talking to lots of gymnasts and coaches. I guess it really depended. If you were someone that she liked, she would give you a pass. She really seemed to like the older, like college age gymnasts or the ones that were more grown up. She seemed to, if you stood up to her, respect that more than if you did not. Not to say she wouldn't retaliate against you, because absolutely she retaliated against people. That is proven. It definitely happened. If she didn't like you as an athlete, if you couldn't do routines, if you couldn't hit, day one when you got to a new country and you hadn't slept in 24 hours and you couldn't do a whole routine, even though it was terrible conditions, you would get retaliated against, and that would be it. But there's also the stories of people that stood up to her, like Alicia Sacramone. Remember the elevator story?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we tell the elevator story?
I mean, I feel like we can generally tell the elevator story.
All right.
I think that she told the story at our first told the
story at a live show. I
Yeah.
just didn't know whether this was for public dissemination.
Yeah. Basically, the story.
She lost her shit at Marta and doesn't remember.
Basically, Marta came into an elevator and said something mean immediately and upset a teammate, and Alicia was like, absolutely fucking not. Like, went off on Marta. It was just like, now we were doing fine. Now you just came in and destroyed like this person's confidence and made this person cry, and we're not having this. And I was like, oh, this is the thing. Like, Marta respected that kind of thing. I mean, if you ask other people in USA Gymnastics, they would always say Alicia was one of Marta's favorite. And I feel like this is part of it, because she like didn't take shit, and Marta liked that in people.
But it's so variable. Because it was always, you had to also be so obedient sometimes.
Yes, you did. It depended. That's the thing. It's like, she respected standing up to her, but it didn't mean it wasn't going to stop you from being retaliated against or being, treated poorly. Some people
also really depended on like whether your gymnastics was necessary for the team or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She was 100% the what have you done for me lately person. Some people could joke with her and tease her, and they could get away with it. But those were also the gymnasts that were, hit, and, could be depended on. I think one of my experiences just from like interviewing her in the mix zone was just like she
being
would just
terrified.
Yeah, like I was like, well, I wasn't like afraid of her. I'm bigger than her, obviously. Like, I'm stronger than she is. But which is always how I assess other people. Could I take them down?
It's
yes.
so healthy.
I feel like this is an important part of my confidence. But yeah, like talking to her in the mix zone, you asked her a question, she just looked at you like she was thinking in her head, you stupid idiot asshole. How dare you ask me a question? And then she would answer it, but like practically spitting hatred. That's how I felt when she answered questions. But she's talked to everybody in the mix zone like that. It wasn't like, it wasn't. But, then you talk to some other people, especially hot young men, who have great stories about Marta, and they're like, oh, we giggled together, we had a great time, and oh, she was always lovely. And I was like, yeah, well, she wasn't coaching you. And
as long as those men weren't near the women's gymnasts, she didn't
right.
trust that.
And we're boxers, then it was fine. But yeah, she was rude to people. She definitely played mind games and used that to her advantage. So I mean, when you talk about how intense the environment is, no one liked camp. Nobody
No.
was like, this is, I mean, she made coaches cry as much as she made gymnasts cry. So yeah, people, and I feel like the most important thing to know about her is like she ruled with fear, and she ruled by making people afraid of not doing what she asked them to, because she would try to retaliate against them, and she did by taking them out of lineups, not inviting them back to camps. She definitely played mind games with other delegations too. That's part of the like being rude, and like there are a lot of mind games, not even just mind games, that go on at competitions, with people being on equipment when they shouldn't be, with people breaking like little rules. What happens in the training gym? Remember the whole story that another one of the dead coaches told, criminal coaches, who talked about how they were at Olympics or World Championships, and like, Russia they sat on the podium, so then the US sat on the podium, and then they, put a foot on the floor, so then the US did that. And this was all like a back and forth mind game thing that they thought they were playing with the other team. And it's like, oh my God, this is so dumb. Like, who cares if you're not using the equipment, you're just sitting there. But that kind of stuff goes on, and she would play those kinds of games and just act like she owned the place. So
yeah, in terms of the question about how intense was the environment, yes.
Yeah. Mean Girls, the original one. That that one level, like based on her real life. I think.
What I always think about when I think about the ranch is the story Allie told about being afraid to ask for soap. Which then became a thing with Kelly Hill being like, of course we would give them soap. And it was like, that's not the point of the story. Yes, I completely believe that Kelly Hill would have, dealt with a soap problem if there had been a soap problem. The point of the story was being afraid to ask for it, which I've always found to be a like particularly evocative microcosm of the whole situation, where the worst thing you could possibly be is the one who needs special attention.
Yes.
Or the squeaky wheel, the one who has a problem, the one who has a question, the one who can't do the assignment, the one who stands out. And that is like, has always been like, that's really stuck with me. It's a really, like, I think about that story a lot also, in terms of the attitude at the camp being, don't be the one who stands out. Because there were different ways to be a Marta favorite. Like being really good at gymnastics was one, but just like always doing everything and having no questions and never saying anything was another way.
Yep. I think I think a lot about what was it like for her. Like, she's born during World War II. Or the country she's from was annexed into another country, or whatever it's called, the redistributing of countries to other countries. So you're from one place, and then you're not from there anymore. Your land is somewhere else. And then being a woman in that time, growing up in Romania and as a Hungarian, in Romania, and how it would be to succeed, how it is in Romania still to this day, how the person that makes the biggest fuss about how they're being wronged and everyone's against them is like how things get done. And I think about how she was a quiet version of that. Like, I feel like she could internalize those things, but would never make a fuss like that. But the way she acted was like that, just like toxic, mean. But then you also hear times where she has gone to gyms that she coached years and years earlier, and has like cried with them and be like, I wish you had had a better experience. I wish things had gone better for you. You were so amazing. I like wish this had been, it always hurts me that you didn't get what you're saying. Like there were these soft moments, but I feel like no one got those moments unless they were successful many times over. Then you could get that version of Marta. But otherwise, but still, you'd be afraid to ask for soap.
Oh yeah,
that was still like momentary. Just people being afraid to ask for food, people being afraid to, even when there's like literally nothing to eat, afraid to eat in front of her. I would just say extremely intense, extremely toxic. Fear-based leadership. Extremely intense. And like for more stories on this, like, we covered all of the criminal trials and everything from the very beginning. So we have, 3 years of episodes about that, that you can go back and listen to all the many, many, many details about that if you'd like to, and many examples from athletes. But let us, Eric, thank you so much for your commission. And if you guys want a mini commission like this too, you can get one at the Join the Club tab at gymcastic.com at the world champion level. Our next mini commission from Anna, who
raised the mood.
Yes, raise the mood. Who commissioned this by playing one of our fantasy games. She's a fantasy winner, which our fantasy, I'm just saying, it's not like other fantasy leagues. It's harder. It's really hard. I don't know if that's a brag, but like they're hard. I'm always impressed by who wins these. But yeah, we'll have another one starting for college season, and they're going to have a twist. Remember, if you have ideas for how to change fantasy, we work directly with the company that does the system, so we can adjust things and change things, and there will be some adjustments this year. So,
like dropping a score.
Yes. Like, so it's not over for you right away if you make the wrong decision.
It's not over for you if you're Jessica.
Yeah, basically, that's what happens.
And you picked your team based on feelings. None of them actually competed.
My team based on who has the best toe point. That is how I pick my team. So, Anna, congratulations on winning fantasy. And Anna says,
I want to hear about the best Amanars ever done. What are the top 3 best Amanars ever performed? Who do you think is the overall best Amanar vaulter in history?
All right.
Big question.
First of all, there is a very important website called thebalancebeamsituation.com. It's just balancebeamsituation.com. There's no the.
There's no the.
But is the balance beam situation.
And
there's the Amanar ranking.
How many years old is that?
It's old. I just said it's old. I'm qualifying it. Don't worry.
Okay.
So
I'm worried because who's not on there?
So there's a lot of people that are missing that have better Amanars now. And so, but anyway, if you want to check it out and revisit this, the Balance Beam Situation has a great post on it. But, and I added some people to my list that aren't on that. So, but first of all, here's the thing I feel like we have to talk about with Amanars, Spencer.
Okay.
So there's perfect form in the air, and then there's technique, and then there's height, and then there's power, which to me is like your height and distance, your power. For me, there are different categories.
There are also landings.
They're landings. Oh, landings. Come on now. That goes into the perfect form part.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, well, it goes into perfect technique.
Okay.
But for me, there are some ties in this category, which people might be upset about. But for me, the best Amanar ever has to have checked all those boxes. So your technique has to be perfect, which means your pre-flight, your legs are totally together or almost totally together. And your arms have to be straight on your block off the table. You have to have height and distance, but height is more impressive. You guys, let's be honest. It's amazing to watch Simone almost land off the mats. Like they're going to have to add more mats for her. But then when you see Rebecca Andrade just go straight up in the air like that, like when you watch Simone tumble, she just goes straight up in the air. Like I feel like that's more exciting, but it has to have legs glued together, straight knees, absolutely pointed toes, hips, the flattest, so flat. You could
It's
use
like
it
you don't
as
even
a
have
spatula.
hips.
That's right. Your whole body trunk position with your legs, perfect. And for me, the only person that has all of that is Michaela Maroney.
I agree.
Yeah.
She's also my number one when we're talking about top 3 best Amanars. I mean, the Maroney Amanar is the best one.
Period.
Yeah.
She has it all. Perfect technique, perfect arms on the vault, perfect form, all of it.
And my second place is Simone. Are you on board with that?
I have Simone and Andrade tied.
Interesting. Okay.
Andrade gets more height. Simone gets more distance. Simone has perfect technique. Andrade has perfect technique. But Simone crosses her feet. She crosses her toes. And Andrade has the tiniest hip, depending, and she's gotten much better over the years, but the tiniest hip angle, it's so slight. So they both have one form thing and different there's different reasons that with their amplitude that they're both good. One's distance, one's height. And also, Simone goes so freaking high. So to me, they are equally fantastic.
I put Simone ahead on a couple other considerations. So before she was doing the Yurchenko double pike, she was doing the Amanar extremely regularly and extremely consistently. We've seen her do the Amanar many more times than we've seen Andrade do it. And we've seen, I think, more consistency from Simone. Andrade will have landing things on her Amanar when we see it. Her one at the Olympics was excellent in the event final, beautiful in the air. And then it was landed a little under with a hot back and some direction. And so there are things. And so that's why I have Simone solidly in second. And I'm also not ready to dismiss Cheng Fei from my top 3.
Yeah.
I'm going to say. I think there's maybe some recency considerations where we've seen Andrade right now, and also because her Chung is, if this question were about 3 best Chungs, number 1 is Rebecca Andrade ever. So I think there's some of that. Cheng Fei did some really remarkable Amanars in her career.
She did.
I'm willing to put in here as well.
See, I have and I understand about the landings too. We have seen Simone do an absolutely perfect Amanar, except her toes are crossed. Absolutely perfect because she can stick it. And we haven't seen those kind of Amanars from Andrade. But I have Hong Eunjung, Kyle Schufelt, and Cheng Fei in third.
Whoa,
okay. Hong Eunjung, North Korea.
I have so many problems right now.
Kyle Schufelt, he's the inventor of the Manmanar.
Disqualified.
He invented the Manmanar.
Okay, first of all, the question is, I want to hear about the best Amanars ever done. Kyle Schufelt never performed an Amanar. He performed a Schufelt.
Okay, it's a Manmanar.
So this is disqualified.
The reason that I have him in here is because we honestly, how often we get to talk about a man who vaults that has perfect form?
I mean, we're not debating Kyle
So
Schufelt.
It's one of the best Amanars. It's one of the best Amanars.
It's not an Amanar.
Here's why he's in third. Because he has, his legs are almost totally together in pre-flight. So the back handspring onto the vault, they are so slightly separated. But he has that form problem and he does bend his arms, which is insane. I can't believe he can do the Amanar he does, but with his arms just slightly bent on the block. It's nuts to me. But his form and his sticking, those are Simone level form and sticking. Sticking that vault cold is insane. And it's the same vault. I don't care what it's called. It's the same vault. Okay?
Disqualified.
So,
Jessica's opinions are disqualified for the whole rest of the day.
The reason I really like Hong Eunjung, legs a little bit separated in pre-flight, which is one of the things. Your freaking back. And this is why they're in third with Cheng Fei. How dare you? But here's the thing. Her landing is the way it's supposed to be done. She actually squats to 90 degrees, which is correct. The landing that Andrade and Simone and Maroney and Kyle Schufelt do, where you just stick like a toothpick, that's not actually healthy and good for you. Like, you should be absorbing.
I mean, obviously,
It's gymnastics, though. We don't care about health. But I just feel like I need to include all of them because they all have the really special sticking ability and the form. And so for me,
you're
they are
including
third.
none of them in your top 3 because you already said Maroney, Simone, and Andrade.
Oh my God. It's 3. It's ranking 3, not 3 people. 3 places.
No, incorrect.
The three best
3 people.
Amanars. No. So Maroney
people.
has and second place is a tie. So then you
then you go to fourth. The next person would be
because
fourth place.
ties are real. And
Do
I
you
can
not
have
know
as
how
many
numbers work?
Yes, I know exactly how I know how rankings work.
I don't
And
think
many
you do.
people can rank the same level because they're just as good as each other.
And then, so if you have one person in first and 2 people tied for second, then the next person is in fourth.
I, like USAG and Romania, agreed that a 3-way tie is fine. You are like the IOC and the FIG saying no to a 3-way bronze.
That is totally irrelevant. Everything you're saying is bad. Also, I think it's offensive that you would invoke Hong Zhang before you would invoke Monica Rosu. I also have a problem with that. Monica Rosu did the first good Amanar in history, first of all, I would say. Because, like, Amanar got it named after herself, but it's like you got it to your feet. Like, that's not... good job. You were vaulting off the side horse, and it was terrifying, and you got it to your feet. Great. But, like, it wasn't good. Monica Rosu's was excellent. And far better form than Hong Zhang.
You can't invoke Monica Rosu because that would give you 4 people, and you've already said that's against your rules.
Yeah, I mean, I'm adding. We're going beyond the 3 to talk about other people, but which you have established. But I'm saying, I did my top 3: Maroney, Biles, Chung, and then Andrade 4, and then I'm putting Monica Rosu 5th.
Okay, well, you guys. So you asked for 3. We've given you
more than
10. So
Jess is disqualified.
I'm obviously not, because this is there's a 3-way tie for 3rd place, which is correct. So let us know if you guys think Monica Rosu should rank in here and where you would rank her. And obviously
that's pretty important. Yeah.
Right. And also if Spencer's crazy for ranking Andrade so low. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. You can write it and say Spencer's crazy for putting Andrade in 4th, and I would accept it.
But Chung Fei, I'm so glad. I mean, I have her tied in 3rd, so it's not like I forgot about her because she's amazing.
You have her tied in a 3-way tie for 4th.
As she's in a 3-way tie for 3rd after my 2-way tie for 2nd.
That's not how numbers work.
Try to keep up. I wrote it down here for you.
Oh my God.
You're going to have to go do a new balance music.
I have to go to therapy after talking to Jessica. I have to go to math therapy.
The only person that's not tied who we can agree on is Maroney.
Yeah, we both have Maroney alone in 1st.
Yeah. As she should be and will remain for all time. That is all. Okay. If you would like to hear us ravenously debate the importance of ties, or anything like who has the best Amanar, you too can commission a mini commission, Club Gymnerd. Join the club tab at gymcastic.com, the world champion level. Okay. Prepare. I'm going to have to take some drinks before we start this one so that I lubricate my throat for the tirade that will come after world champion club level member Tonzo. Sounds like Gonzo. Tonzo has commissioned. He says, or she.
We need better camera angles for TV coverage from these major networks. The side angle of the apparatus is the best to view a routine from, perhaps except floor, and even then a choreographer still keeps in mind judge placement when designing a routine. I want to see what the judges are going to see. Were the gymnast handstands at 90? Were there splits at 180? How close was she to the bar in that release move? I can't stand when the director changes angles mid-routine and misses a key element of the scoring. How will I fairly evaluate the routine and compare my score to the judges if we aren't seeing the same thing? Granted, not all spectators are neurotic as I am about seeing every single angle of every element, but there has to be respect given to the intention of the way a routine was intended to be viewed. Does this bug you too? It does. The trials coverage was better, but it was weird how some routines got the static side view and some got the annoying close-ups during a major element, totally obstructing my view of the skill execution. Maybe you have already talked about it, but I'd love your thoughts on this and if you think there can be a balance of TV coverage that satisfies the gym nerd and the casual viewer.
Oh, Hanzo, you have found your people, because have we talked about this? Oh, Spencer, how many tirades have we gone on
Many.
this show? It's 12
Are
years
you
of
ready for
tirade.
another one?
Ooh, I'm so ready. I am
Okay.
so ready. So yeah, we've talked about this at length. There are also studies on this and how women's sports in particular are treated very differently by the camera than men's sports, and specifically there are tons of close-ups on women's where there aren't in men's. There's a lot of static close-ups on them. Their certain body parts are featured prominently more than men's. It's a big problem. And so I think that the answer that we have found to this came from Kathy Johnson and Bart Connor working with the SEC network they had previously had a vice president who was excellent and wanted to change things. And that's how they've gotten where they are. And they had an educated camera operator staff with producers who had rules. The commentators went over everything with the camera operators. They had very clear rules about what could be shown, what wasn't shown, what angles to shoot from the side, never be in the corner when you're shooting tumbling on floor, that you have to show the angle that the gymnastics is judged from. You never do close-ups. You never change the angle during a series, whether it's tumbling or leaps especially. You have to see exactly where they took off from and then where they land. That is how you tell if they made it all the way around in the twist. My God. So they set the gold standard, and hopefully it won't be ruined now because that whole thing has been dismantled. So we'll see. But and they had protractors, of course, and all the angles and the height stuff and all that great stuff. And they showed the judge's angle. NBC, I think there is a willingness there, but they also go by a lot of market research and about not gymnastics fans, and I'm just like, who cares what not gymnastics fans think? Gymnastics has tons of fans. Did you see it got the highest ratings at the Olympics? I think there's plenty of gymnastics fans. But I feel like that's a hindrance. But they have made a lot of improvements. They are doing things like the Simone rhizometer, she goes 12 feet in the air, and comparing it to basic non-athletic sports like basketball or whatever. Adapting some of the stuff that the SEC network has done. But I think that the limitations that we have to be aware of when we complain, as we do correctly, about TV angles is it depends on the size of the arena. It depends on which tickets have been sold. There are some reasons why we can't sometimes get the camera angles that we want to. But it's where you can actually put the camera. But there is no reason there can't be a judge's angle camera. There is at FIG events. They have their little replay for the judge's camera that rises up behind them and sits on their little podium. And it's very skinny. It's not something that's going to get in someone's way, like the big giant NBC cameras that have their own podium that, if you put that right to the side of the beam, you would have to get rid of tickets for a lot of people. They're sitting behind them. You have to eliminate those people, or else those people would be very pissed. At the Olympics, the problem with camera angles is OBS. The problem is the IOC. The OBS is the Olympic Broadcast System. And the problem is that the Olympic Broadcast System seems to care more about who can fulfill the requirements of populating camera operators than the quality and education of those camera operators. So OBS, puts out a bid like many companies do. this is what we need. 700 camera operators that are trained that can work, 16-hour days for 2 weeks. Okay, who can fulfill that? And then a company says, okay, we've got it. So OBS at this past Olympics is outsourced to a company that is just an army of middle-aged men with absolutely no international diversity. It's so stark watching them like parade in, because it's the opposite of everything else at the Olympics. Everything else at the Olympics is people from all over the world coming together and working together. It's the same at World Championships. It's like all the volunteers, it's people from all over the world, all the people that are staffing what you need, people from all over the world there to work together. And then you see the OBS company come in and you're like, what's happening? And I think what was most egregious to me at the Olympics is that every time a woman did a double Y turn on floor, it was played back in super slow motion with a close up in the arena. I don't know if you guys saw this on TV, if that was done, but every time. And I was like, what the fuck is this? This is so unacceptable. It's basically a close up crotch shot. It made me so mad. And I was like, okay, one time maybe someone's going to talk to them. No, it happened multiple times. It was definitely on purpose. Oh, this is a good thing to do in slow motion. I could kill people, you guys. Metaphorically speaking, of course. So the solution to this, which I've thought long and hard about, is, so say I have an event. So I'm hosting an Olympics. I'm hosting a World Championships. I'm hosting a national championship. So I'm the host. As the party host, I get to dole out the rights. So I'm like, hey, NBC, do you want to bid on the right to have put this on TV? NBC raises their hand. Yes, we would like to. Okay, well, before I sell you the broadcast rights, here are the rules about camera operators and angles that you have to agree to, very specifically. There will be no men on the floor for women's events, camera operating. There will be, you cannot shoot floor from the diagonal. You have to be off center to shoot. You cannot change the angle when there is a leap series. You cannot close up on someone's face during a routine. You can do a close up on someone's face before and after the routine, not during the routine. You have to, what are some of the other things, Spencer, we've talked about? You have to have a judge's angle camera.
Judge's angle.
So that you can replay from the exact angle the judges were sitting at. And there's so many other things. I mean, I would add some.
You can't shoot apparatuses head on.
Yeah, you can never shoot an apparatus.
Only replays.
Only replays.
No foot close-ups ever. It's weird.
No. Oh, it's super creepy. No. And only, you can do acrobatic shots in slow motion, but not artistic stuff in slow motion. So you're not going to do a replay that someone's like flirting himself.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
I don't know.
I'd like a replay of an Athora doing some beautiful choreography in slow motion. I'm okay with that.
I don't know. I feel like it's like only if you do it for the men too.
They don't do choreography,
and it has to be shot the same way, equal for men. Yeah. Well, they don't do choreography, but we have the man wipe. They have to do a scale now because that's art.
Oh my god!
Or a split, one or the other. Here. Yeah. So. Yeah, and you have specific rules about you cannot, do crotch. If it's going to be a crotch forward, you have to change the angle. Like that's another thing that they've done in the SEC network when Bart and Kathy were really involved. That I don't see them doing now. So there are many things that you can change. But I think the thing that's exciting about what's coming in the future is there's two things coming. There's going to be AR tickets, which they have right now in the and VR tickets. So basically in the NBA, you can choose a seat and you have a virtual ticket and you can like look around. You don't have to actually be there. And it's like you're right there sitting courtside or whatever. So I am hoping USA Gymnastics and some other gymnastics federations will start selling tickets like this in the future. The other thing is the AR. So when you're looking at the artificial reality, so you're watching something, and while I'm watching the gymnastics, I'm seeing all of the technical details. How high did Simone just go? How much power did she generate? How far did she go?
in her landing. Not for artificial. It's augmented. Not art. Yeah. It's artificially displayed.
I got what you were
You know
going.
what I mean? It's augmented reality. So people have already started to write emails and now they're like, oh, wait, okay, she got it. Yeah, augmented reality. So they are seeing the statistics, the scores. What does she need? What deductions did she have? All of the live judging, like a figure skating has, will be displayed in your virtual headset or wherever you are while you're watching. And then the other thing that I think is coming is what's called Cosm, which I think is like it's a company that does like planetarium stuff. So if you go, you never been to the planetarium as a kid and you like lay down and it's like you're, in those weird seats and they show you the planets in the sky and it's like a dome of a screen. Well, this company has now, you have to build an entire building to have this kind of screen because it's like 4 stories high and it's more than IMAX. It's like a half circle. It feels like you are actually there and it's enormous. Imagine that dome thing in Vegas. It's kind of like that. And they've partnered with all of these college and pro sports to show sports on the screen. And it's amazing. I mean, it's like you are, I don't know, you're watching it like you're 5 feet away from the field, if not closer. In some cases, you're actually on the field in like football, for example. And they have like a super boring sports like football. So imagine what it would be if you had gymnastics. How cool it would be to be like 5 feet away from beam while you're watching it. And the thing is, I think it's very necessary to have all these camera angle rights negotiated into the contracts when you have people that close, watching that close up. Especially. But I am really excited. They have one of these in LA and one of them in Dallas. And I'm excited to see what happens during the Olympics in LA 2028 to see if they're going to host. I mean, I imagine they're going to show Olympic sports on this. How freaking cool. And it's not like a regular theater. It's almost like you're in it's kind of stadium-ish.
People seem to just give a commercial for whatever this company is.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about this place. I mean, you can watch like Cirque du Soleil shows in there. They have a lot of other stuff that they do in there. And there's stuff like space and lava and whatever, nature, But I think it's really, really cool. So that kind of, imagine watching gymnastics like that, but you get all the statistics that you want at the same time on the screen, and you get information about the actual gymnastics being done from a technical aspect in terms of the height, distance, pressure, force generated.
No one cares about that.
Listen, I'm the one that cares about that. I'm always like, that's like if she just deadlifted 300 pounds. So anyway, yes, it's horrible and it all needs to change. And I think that the more the viewers put pressure on organizations and talk about it and say like, hey, USA Gymnastics, especially, their NBC contract's up. That was it. They had them through 2024. Lily knows. She knows NBC might not get rights to gymnastics anymore because their contract was terrible. Lily comes from the NBA. She knows they can do better. She knows that was a terrible contract. She can absolutely put these specifics into the contracts for whoever gets it next. And let's hope NBC learns their lesson. And I would love to see someone else get it, to get the contract, to get a chance at it. Because I'm hoping, there could be a company that does it better and wants to do it better. But anyway, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is, thank you so much for this commission. Tanzo, finally, I hadn't got a rage out this week. And now I feel like I really got it out. And I have you to thank for that. Spencer, do you have anything to add?
Oh, I get to talk? Whoa. Okay. I think there is a problem with feeling like you have to do your job when you have a job. And I think we have that with directors of broadcasts in gymnastics, where it's like, actually just stay with one camera for a beam routine. Like, don't do your job. Don't do anything. It's better than what you're doing now. which is feeling like you have to I think we have that in judging too sometimes.
Yes.
You over have to do something, or like, oh, an inquiry has come to me, I better do a job instead of just being like, no. All kinds of things can happen like that. But I think that's a problem, because I would say ideal camera angles is static judge's side view from beam for the whole routine. Don't change the camera angle. No close-ups. 1 minute, 30 seconds, same angle. Same with bars.
Yep.
On vault, you need to move to get the run and the landing, but same camera. Floor is the most complicated one, because you do want to adjust to which diagonal are you going down. But there needs to be less doing in general in terms of gymnastics and angles. Just do less. Like floor composition. Like we've learned, the same lesson. Do less. We will enjoy it more if you do less. I think there's just in general not an understanding of the sport, which is what leads to a lot of this. Like you have to explain it in like baseball terms to the camera people, which is actually like I find the most effective when explaining to people who don't get it. Like in baseball, there was one angle for which you show a pitch because you can see whether it's a ball or a strike. The same thing is true in gymnastics. You don't use a different camera angle to show beam or bars because there's one view where you can see exactly what is happening, and you don't change it and you don't mess with that. And there's not an understanding of the sport enough to know that that's the case.
And the angle is where do they show it from the baseball? From the judge's angle, right?
It's from over the shoulder of the pitcher, so you can see the ball,
so
whether it's a ball or a strike.
going.
You're in the outfield. It's like if you cut it, like if you explain it to like someone who doesn't understand, it's like you cutting to a third base camera to show the pitch is like what they do during gymnastics. It's like cutting to show the front end of the beam. That's the best. Like if you're explaining it to a camera operator who's been assigned to do gymnastics, who doesn't understand, doesn't know the sport, it's the best way to describe it. It's like shooting balls and strikes from first base or third base is what you're doing when you go to the front of the beam or cut during a dance element.
That's interesting because this is also the baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I just got my train.
Your favorite. That. It's so entertaining.
You talked about baseball, and I was like,
yeah, Jessica died. I understand.
Oh my god, it's the most boring sport. The sport where you can eat the whole time while you play it. That's how much of a sport it is. So anyway, it's the judges who stand at the end with all the fancy equipment on, so in case they get hit by the ball, but then the pitcher doesn't have that equipment.
Mm-hmm. Umpires.
Umpires. There's
a lot of safety. There's a lot of great things going on with safety.
Oh my god, they don't care about baseball players.
Good. It's so good.
Noggins. They don't care at all. It's so dumb. This is like one of the sports when women play it, they wear a face mask, but when men play it, they don't, because no one cares about men, boys. They don't care about their brains. They're like, get a concussion, CTE for life. We don't care about you. You're not important
because
to us. Like,
men allegedly don't care about how they look, but the reason they refuse to do it is because of how they look. They don't want the look.
They don't want to look weak.
They don't want to look wrong. Or
right. Just so dumb. So vain. Anywho,
very vain.
So vain. Well, it's baseball players. I mean, come on. But also in the football, they have those extra helmety cushion things now, and they're making fun of the ones that are wearing it. And I'm like, well, you get CTE early and die at like 35. Go ahead. Like you'll be embarrassed to wear the cushion on your head then. It's so awful. Anyway. Oh, men. It's such a mess for them. Don't get me started on how the patriarchy affects men. Ugh. Anywho, the judges who stand at the end with all the equipment on, who do care about their faces, those guys, they don't need them. They have equipment that totally does it. They are completely useless. They are only there for the show, which goes back to why gymnastics should have the judges. Like, if you're going to have judges, put the line judges on the floor for the show. Baseball knows what they're doing. They've got all these fancy leagues. They've millions and millions of dollars because they have a whole person whose a judge's job is just to be dramatic. That's their whole job. That's what a line judge in gymnastics could do on the floor, that people think it takes away from the sport. Like Spencer, we need to run things, or at least we need to appoint ourselves to an advisory board. Oh, the fan advisory board. I've been a part of one of those before. Very effective. Excellent. I should say we changed many things for the better. I volunteer. FIG, where's that committee? They have so many committees. Oh, anywho, you guys. So I will see you guys on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific to answer all of your questions about the GOAT tour and tell you all of my thoughts. I'm doing Wednesday without Spencer because Spencer has things to do. And then Friday, we'll have our regular behind the scenes at noon Pacific. That's the plan for this week. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you Wednesday to talk all about the GOAT tour, answer all of your questions, tell you all the things. And then we'll see you again on Friday. 2 behind the scenes this week. This is practically the Olympics. Behind the scenes Friday, noon Pacific. And otherwise, see you guys Wednesday, 5 Pacific time for that behind the scenes. So thank you guys all for listening. Remember to take off on gay, split on rights, get your GOAT tour tickets. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Thanks for listening.